How can you tell if yeast is still active? In the world of brewing beer, the question on many brewers' minds is how to determine if yeast is still active. This topic has gained attention recently as more people are trying their hand at home brewing. With the rise of craft beer culture, knowing how to check yeast activity is essential for a successful brew. Let's break down the signs and methods to ensure your yeast is doing its job. First, one of the most noticeable signs is bubbling or Krausen formation. When yeast is active, it produces carbon dioxide during fermentation. This can be seen as bubbles forming in the fermenter's airlock or a foamy layer called Krausen on top of the wort. If you notice steady bubbling or Krausen, it is a good indication that the yeast is active. However, keep in mind that bubbling alone is not always a definitive sign, since off-gassing can continue even after fermentation slows down. Another reliable method is to take gravity measurements. Using a hydrometer or refractometer to measure specific gravity over time can confirm yeast activity. If you see a decreasing gravity reading, that means the yeast is consuming sugars and producing alcohol and carbon dioxide. If the gravity remains unchanged for several days, the yeast may be inactive or stuck. Visual signs of fermentation can also provide clues. Cloudiness or turbidity in the beer often indicates yeast suspension, which typically correlates with active fermentation. However, some yeast components can cause haze unrelated to activity. The smell and taste of the beer can give you additional information. A fresh, yeasty, or slightly fruity aroma suggests active yeast metabolism. On the other hand, off or sour smells might indicate contamination or stressed yeast. For those who want to be more precise, yeast viability tests can assess live yeast cells. These methods are more common in professional or advanced homebrewing setups. Lastly, remember that yeast activity can be influenced by temperature. If fermentation appears stalled, raising the temperature slightly can sometimes restart yeast activity. This approach has been effective in various brewing scenarios, such as with European Pilsner. For homebrewers, investing in fermentation monitoring tools or regularly checking gravity and visual signs are practical ways to track yeast health and activity. By following these steps, you can ensure your brewing process stays on track and leads to a delicious final product.